Okay, I think I'm back, but I'm not sure. So let me see. Let's see what's going on. I think I lost myself there for some reason. Let's see. I'm back. Okay. But I don't want to share that. So let me just see. Start video. Okay, so I'm back, but I think that I want to share this here. This is what I'm sharing. Okay, I'm back. So I've lost myself beginning this process of what we're doing with the healing through astrology. So what we have is a astrology chart here, and healing can happen through understanding our place in the world. Okay, so if anybody's out there, you can ask any questions as I go along. And what I'm doing is looking at my astrology chart, and I'm going to get my pointer here to make it really easy for everybody. Spotlight. And actually, this is a clearer image, so I'm glad I started this again if you're just coming back because I got knocked off in my last recording. So here goes. So what I have is, how do we heal through understanding our astrology chart? What we've got is that we've got date of birth is needed, and time and place. The time is important because without the time, we don't get to see our rising sign, and we don't get to see where the house is, what planets the houses fall in. So it's really important to have a birth time. There are ways, some astrologers that are very, that have been at it for years, know how to work the system in order to establish your birth time. And that can be done through understanding the placement of Pluto. Pluto takes, I don't know the exact, but it's let's say 250 years to move around an astrology chart. So the healing happens through understanding what the placements are and where the planets are. And then you see in the center here, you've got these lines. They're called aspects. So aspects are where planets are speaking to each other. So if anybody's out there, you can say hello to me. And if you need to ask any questions, then you can fire away. So this is my own birth chart. And the reason I started looking at astrology, it didn't come about on purpose, but it's one of those things I just got drawn into in 2015. Prior to that, I'd been using spirituality to try and heal some deep childhood wounds and trauma that I had experienced. And it really wasn't working for me because I was at a point where people were telling me that I had to forgive and I had to surrender it to a higher power. But that really was not working that way for me. And I think the thing is that each to their own, but there are some things that are so hard for us that forgiveness really is something that happens as we process through life, and also with triggers and flashbacks. Forgiveness isn't the answer to everything, and we can't force ourselves into it. So spirituality really was a bit of a letdown for me in my understanding. But I would say that the books that I read and some of the authors and some of the work out there is amazing, and clearly we're learning and evolving all of the time. So we can't outrule anything. We go where we go, and we learn as we learn, and we digest and we evolve. So what I've got here is I'm going to show you that my sun is in Gemini, and the sun sign on a birth chart looks like this. This is if you've never looked at a birth chart before. The sun sign, that's what the sun sign looks at. And you can see that this is Gemini. This is the sign of Gemini. So the sun sign basically is showing you where your sun has landed at your time of birth. The moon is to do with our emotional states, our inner emotions. And the moon moves very quickly around an astrology chart. It takes 28 days. So from From here, we've got a transit. I'm going to explain that. Transits are where the planets are at an exact moment in time. So the moon, this chart is actually dated the 3rd of March 2019. But the reality is that today's date is towards the end of March, clearly. So unfortunately, I pulled up the wrong chart, but that's okay. It's still an example. The moon in 28 days will be all the way back round here again. The sun, currently here in Pisces, is just moved into Aries, and Aries is here. And that takes a year to move around an astrology chart. So when it's my birthday, the sun will land, this sun that's in transit will land here, which will mean sun conjunct sun, which means that it is your birthday when that happens. So I've said what the moon is responsible for our emotions, inner world, and how we relate to ourselves inwardly as well. So in Gemini, I'm all over the place like mutable air. So next we have Mercury. So Mercury is about communication, and the planet, my Mercury, is in Taurus, and Mercury is this sign here, and this is the sign of Taurus, you can see there. And then we have Venus, and my Venus is in Aries, and Venus is to do with the way we speak to ourselves, and it's to do with our inner needs and our outer values and what we basically value in this world, and meeting our own needs and how we hear ourselves. Mars is the way we go about getting what we want. It's our passion, it's our desire, it's that thing where we want to get up and get out in the morning, or whatever we want in life, we're going to have this desire. And Mars, my Mars, is in Taurus here at 24 degrees. So for each of us, it's going to be different on different planets. Oh, it's bringing it up since AOC was on the... Oh, this is a different one. I'm really confusing the world today. You know what? It's interesting. Mercury is retrograde, so do forgive me. But I will change the... when I go back, I'll re-edit this so that it means that it will be up to date. But I can see, yes, I'm going to be doing that one on Wednesday. That's what I'm up to. So sorry for the confusion, but if you know planets at all, Mercury is retrograde, which is the planet of communication. So it's interesting that communications go a bit haywire when Mercury is retrograde. So here we have Venus and Mars. I've done Jupiter. Jupiter, that's the planet of spirituality and expansion and truth. And yeah, it is funny. I've got to laugh too. We'll just go with it. There's only a few people watching, but I think people will get what I'm doing by now. I will come back to her chart, Alexandra's chart, on Wednesday. All right, so Jupiter here is expansion, spirituality. Mine is in the sign of Cancer, and it's in my 7th house. So again, the houses mean something. If you know astrology, of course, if you don't, it's going to all be new to you. And then we have Saturn, and Saturn is to do with time, it's to do with karma, it's to do with our structure, and it's to do with, structure and time. So Saturn, my Saturn is here, also to do with father as well. So that father figure, not particularly our father, but to do with in the world where people have authority, and the authority in our lives, how we react to authority. So I have that in Pisces in my 4th house. See that there? And then we have Uranus, which is, mine is in Virgo, and Uranus is in Virgo, and it's 15 degrees of Virgo in my 9th house, conjuncting my MC. A conjunction, we can allow degrees. I won't confuse you, but I know what I'm saying. And it's basically, a conjunction is when something is on top of something else. Okay. So as I said, if the sun, when it goes on top of my sun, it's my birthday, and that sun conjunct sun. Okay, bringing it up. Okay. I'm just wondering if anybody there knows their astrology chart, or whether you've ever had your astrology chart looked at. You can go to get your own astrology chart quite easily as well. I'll put the details at the end of this video. So what have we got next? Uranus. We've got Uranus is breaking free from limitations and fracturing of structures. So that's conjuncting my Pluto there. So that's a generational thing. When that happened, 60s babies. And not all of the people in the 60s, but a particular generation it is. Then we have Neptune, which is to do with the mass unconscious, and it's the unconsciousness in all of us, and it's out there, you know, decay as well. I've been taught that it's to do with decay. So my Neptune is in Scorpio, and then we have, and that's in my 12th house. Then we have the true node, which is called the North Node. Now, the North Node is to do with our path in this life. So if we looked at our North Node on our chart, it's defining what is the route that we're going to take in this life. And the South Node is defining our past life. So it's to do with our past, okay? And we can tell, you know, that mine was, for instance, you may not understand the language of this unless you understand astrology, but you've got Neptune conjunct the South Node in Scorpio in my 12th house. So that's quite deep. You know, there's a lot from the past that would have been quite shocking for me. I would have come in from past lives of, you know, having a life that was, you know, probably very difficult and quite dark and quite deep in many ways. But again, I would have been taken care of, but I would have had to, you know, be of service in a way, and had given up my own life in order to have luxuries around me. So, and also then we have Chiron. Now, Chiron is to do with the wounded healer, and Chiron in my chart is, again, conjuncting my IC. Chiron, the wounded healer, shows what we are here to heal in our lives, because we never get rid of the wound, but the whole point is that I'm going to say this, Chiron takes 50 to 51 years to move around an astrology chart. So I'm going to give you an example. I was born in 1966. I'm 52. So it would have been at the age of 2017, that there, which is the transit. So this planet's gone all the way around, okay? This is a transit. Chiron in my natal, well, that would have been there. That was conjunct on the 30th of March, 2017 for me. So it means that the last couple of years, and probably a bit up to that, I was healing my original wounds. So I was doing a lot of purging, and it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, but we have opportunities as it goes round the chart to heal our wounds. But the placement of it will say, and if there's any planets conjunct it, it will explain to us what the reality of that has been for us in our lives. So for me, it was in the deepest part, it was around authority. I was healing around authority and the home, and lack of security in the home, and wounds came from, you know, my family quite a lot, you know, quite a big story I have on that one. But the beauty is that as Chiron goes around, it gives us the opportunity to heal. So I'll leave it with explaining that, and then I'll explain to you that your rising sign is the cloak we wear in the world. So whilst we have our sun sign, my sun sign is Gemini. I'm very chatty. I'm very mutable air. The other point about me is that I've got this side, which is I can go to the depths of darkness. I can hear anything and I'm not shocked. And that's the Scorpio in me. So it's the Scorpio. The ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. So for me, it's been quite a life of, you know, looking at the psychology of others and wanting to understand things and digging to the depths and wanting to get to the bottom of things. And it served me well. In fact, having Scorpio rising has been quite healing for me, because it means that I've searched for, you know, the truth of matters. But I would also say that my Pluto on my MC means that I'm also in my 9th house, means that I've been searching for the truth and getting to the bottom of things and looking at the bigger picture. So I could go on with this, but what I'm going to say for now and probably end this, that when you know these placements in your chart and you know the transits, you're going to get a picture of where you've come from, what your past life meant for you, and then what your future is like, the direction that you are better off going in. And then on top of that, you can see with the transits, like where Pluto is at the moment. Pluto takes over 250 years to go around a chart. So my Pluto's only moved from here down to here. And in a lifetime, clearly it's not going to, go all the way around the chart. It's just basically going to, probably if I live another 40 years, for instance, it's probably going to maybe hit up to, the fourth house here. And Pluto defines, because it takes a long time, it's very defining in what's happening in our lives. But you can dig deeper on that one. That I did do a video the other day, which I'll put the link below, on Pluto through the houses, which has done quite well. And if you know where your Pluto is, if you listen to the video, you're going to understand what your soul is trying to achieve. Okay, it's a good video. So any more questions? There's 3 people I can see in the chat. And I'll put astro.com below where you can get your own chart. And if you haven't got your birth time, ask your parents if you're able to, or look at your own birth certificate if it's on there, but it won't be for everybody. So I hope this has been helpful. And we'll come back to the historical figures. Yes, I will look at that. That's a good one. And there you go. I think that hopefully this explains that these transits, basically activate healing as they move around the chart. So that's it. Hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to stop share now. There you go. I'm back. And that is it for today. And I'll be back with more on this in the coming week. So hit the notification button if you want more on this and to see where I lead with my explanation of charts. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.